Do you think he's going to ask me to come out there, Mom? I'm not going to come out there.
Cher, also known as the goddess of pop, made a name for herself and became an icon in a male-dominated field of the industry. She has carved her name into the sands of time through sheer talent, grit, and determination. However, there were moments in her career that had her core fans questioning whether they knew the woman they supported with their life. What were those moments, and how did she circumvent them? Join us as we explore how Cher finally addressed the affair that destroyed her marriage to Sonny Bono. The World Meets Cher. It would be impossible to dive into the musical genius of Cher without diving into her personal life first. What was life for her as a child? Sherilyn Sarkisian was born in El Centro, California, on May 20, 1946. Her father, John Sarkisian, was an Armenian-American truck driver with substance and gambling problems. Her mother, Georgia Holt, was a former model and retired actress who claimed Irish, English, German, and Cherokee ancestry.
And I think you're going to sing a little bit of a song from it now, right?
Cher's father was rarely home when she was a baby, and her parents, not being together for most of the time, divorced when Cher was 10 months old. Her mother later married actor John Southall, with whom she had another daughter, Jorgan, Cher's half-sister. After making the bold decision to move to Los Angeles, her mother started acting while still working as a waitress. She changed her name to Georgia Holt and played minor roles in films and on television. Holt also secured acting parts for her daughters as extras on television shows like The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. Unfortunately, her mother's relationship with Southall ended when she was 9 years old, but she always considered and still considers him her father, and remembers him as a good-natured man who turned belligerent when he drank too much. Cher's mother eventually remarried and divorced several more times, and this resulted in her having to move her family around the country, including places like New York, Texas, and California. Growing up, their family had close to nothing. They often had little money, and Cher recounted having had to use rubber bands to hold her shoes together. At one point, her mother left Cher at an orphanage for several weeks. Although they met every day, both found the experience traumatic. When Cher was just in 5th grade, she produced a performance of the musical Oklahoma for her teacher in class. She took it upon herself to organize a group of girls, directing and choreographing their dance routines. Although she was unable to convince boys to participate, she didn't let it limit her. She played the male roles and sang their songs. By age 9, she had developed an unusually low voice. It was clear by then that she had an uncanny fascination with movie stars. Fascinated by film stars, Cher's role model was Audrey Hepburn, particularly due to her role in the 1961 film Breakfast at Tiffany's. Cher began to take after the unconventional outfits and behavior of Hepburn's character. She was also inspired by other actresses, including Marlene Dietrich, Bette Davis, and Katharine Hepburn, although she was disappointed by the absence of dark-haired Hollywood actresses whom she could emulate. She had wanted to be famous since childhood but felt unattractive and untalented, later commenting, "I couldn't think of anything that I could do. I didn't think I'd be a singer or a dancer. I just thought, well, I'll be famous. That was my goal." Cher had tasted the hard life, from being dropped off at an orphanage to having to use a rubber band to hold her shoes together. But was fortune finally about to smile on her? A change of fortunes. In 1961, Cher's mother married bank manager Gilbert Lapierre, who adopted Cher and her sister Georgianne, and enrolled them at Montclair College Preparatory School, a private school in Encino whose students were mostly from affluent families. The school's upper-class environment presented a challenge for Cher, as she stood out from the others in both her striking appearance and outgoing personality. A former classmate once commented that they'll never forget seeing Cher for the first time. Something about her was special. She seemed like a movie star right then and there. She said she was going to be a movie star, and we knew she would. Despite not being an excellent student, Cher was intelligent and creative, according to Berman. She earned high grades, excelling in French and English classes. As an adult, she discovered that she had dyslexia. Cher's unconventional behavior stood out. She performed songs for students during the lunch hours and surprised peers when she wore a midriff-bearing top. She later recalled, "I was never really in school. I was always thinking about when I was grown up and famous."
How are you? What's going on?
From that moment onward, Cher knew that she had only one path laid in front of her. Would she take it? Would she make her big break, or would it turn out disastrous? Her big break. At age 16, Cher took a bold step and dropped out of school, left her mother's house, and moved to Los Angeles with a friend. She took acting classes and worked to support herself, dancing in small clubs along Hollywood's Sunset Strip and introducing herself to performers, managers, and agents. According to Berman, Cher did not hesitate to approach anyone she thought could help her get a break, make new contact, or get an audition. Cher met performer Sonny Bono in November 1962 when he was working for record producer Phil Spector. Her friend moved out and Cher accepted Sonny's offer to be his housekeeper. Sonny introduced Cher to Spector, who used her as a backup singer on many recordings, including the Ronettes' Be My Baby and the Righteous Brothers' You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin'. Spector later on produced her first single, Ringo, I Love You, which Cher recorded under the name Bonnie Jo Mason. The song was rejected by many radio station programmers as they thought Cher's deep contralto vocals were a man's vocals. Therefore, they believed it was a male lover singing a love song dedicated to the Beatles drummer Ringo Starr. Cher and Sonny became close friends, eventual lovers, and performed their own unofficial wedding ceremony in a hotel room in Tijuana, Mexico on October 27, 1969. Although Sonny had wanted to launch Cher as a solo artist, she encouraged him to perform with her because she suffered from stage fright, and he began joining her on stage singing the harmonies. She used to disguise her nervousness by looking at Sonny. She later commented that she sang to the people through him. In late 1964, they emerged as a duo called Caesar and Cleo, releasing the poorly received singles Do You Wanna Dance, Love Is Strange, and Let the Good Times Roll. Meet Sonny Bono. Salvatore Sonny Bono was born in February 1935 in Detroit and decided in his teens he wanted to be a singer. He started writing his own songs, and one he wrote at 16 called Coco Joe was later recorded by the Righteous Brothers. He didn't graduate and instead dropped out to take a series of casual jobs to pay his way while writing his own songs and trying to break into the music business. His big break came when he got a job working for Phil Spector in the early 1960s, although he was a promoter rather than an artist. Sonny and Cher, the dynamic duo. In the early months of 1965, Caesar and Cleo began calling themselves Sonny and Cher. Following the recording of I Got You Babe, the pair traveled to England in July 1965 on the Rolling Stones' advice. Cher recalled, "They had told us that Americans just didn't get us, and that if we were going to make it big, we were going to have to go to England." According to writer Cintra Wilson, English newspaper photographers showed up when Sonny and Cher were thrown out of the London Hilton because of their outfits the night they arrived, literally overnight. They were stars.
I will be singing with Chastity Bono.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
London went gaga for the before-unseen duo look, which was neither mod nor rocker. I Got You Babe reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and became, according to AllMusic's Bruce Eder, one of the biggest-selling and most beloved pop-rock hits of the mid-1960s. Rolling Stone listed it among the 500 greatest songs of all time in 2003. As the song knocked the Beatles off the top of the British charts, English teenagers began to emulate Sonny and Cher's fashion style, such as bell-bottoms, striped pants, ruffled shirts, industrial zippers, and fur vests. Upon their return to the U.S., the duo made several appearances on the teen pop showcases Hullabaloo and Shindig, and completed a tour of some of the largest arenas in the U.S.
The pretty half of Sonny and Cher, Mrs. Cher Bono!
Their shows attracted Cher lookalikes, girls who were ironing their hair straight and dyeing it black to go with their vests and bell-bottoms. Cher expanded her creative range by designing a clothing line. Sonny and Cher continued to make headway as a group, so it was only right that they made an album together. However, would it get in the way of Cher as a solo artist? Success as a group and an individual. Sonny and Cher's first album, Look at Us, released for the Atco Records division of Atlantic Records, spent 8 weeks at #2 on the Billboard 200 behind the Beatles' Help. Their material became very popular, and the duo successfully competed with the dominant British invasion and Motown sounds of the era. Sonny and Cher charted 10 Billboard Top 40 singles between 1965 and 1972, including 5 Top 10 singles: I Got You Babe, Baby Don't Go, The Beat Goes On, All I Ever Need Is You, and A Cowboy's Work Is Never Done. At one point, they had 5 songs in the top 50 at the same time, a feat equaled only by the Beatles and Elvis Presley. Together, they had become, according to Time magazine's Ginia Belafonte, rock's it couple. Cher's following releases kept her solo career fully competitive with her work with Sonny. The Sonny side of Cher features Bang Bang, which reached number 2 in the US and number 3 in the UK and became her first million-seller solo single. Cher, also released in 1966, contains the Burt Bacharach and Hal David composition Alfie, which was added to the credits of the American version of the 1966 film of the same name and became the first stateside version of the popular song. With Love, Cher includes songs described by biographer Mark Bago as little soap opera stories set to rock music, such as the U.S. top 10 single You Better Sit Down Kids. Cher suffered a miscarriage on July 14, 1967. By the end of the 1960s, Sonny and Cher's music had ceased to chart. Their monogamous lifestyle during the period of the intercourse revolution and the anti-substance position they adopted at the height of the substance culture made them lose popularity among American youths. According to Bago, in spite of their revolutionary unisex clothes, Sonny and Cher were quite square when it came to intercourse and substance. In an attempt to recapture their young audience, the duo produced and starred in the film Good Times, which was commercially unsuccessful. Sonny and Cher experienced setbacks. The duo spent $500,000 and mortgaged their home to make the film Chastity, written and produced by Sonny, who did not appear in the movie. It tells the story of a young woman, played by Cher, searching for the meaning of life. The art film failed commercially, putting the couple $190,000 in debt with back fees.
Freedom from ornamentation, simplicity.
However, some critics noted that Cher showed signs of acting potential. Q magazine wrote, "Cher has a marvelous quality that often makes you forget the lines you are hearing." At the lowest point of their career, the duo put together a nightclub routine that relied on a more adult approach to sound and style. According to writer Cintra Wilson, their lounge act was so depressing people started heckling them. Then Cher started heckling back. Sonny reprimanded her, then she'd heckle Sonny. The heckling became a highlight of the act and attracted viewers. Television executives took note, and the couple began making guest appearances on primetime shows, in which they presented a new, sophisticated, and mature image. Cher adopted alluring, low-cut gowns that became her signature outfits. A comeback for the ages. CBS head of programming Fred Silverman offered Sonny and Cher their own television program after he noticed them as guest hosts on The Merv Griffin Show in 1971. The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour premiered as a summer replacement series on August 1, 1971, and had 6 episodes. Because it was a ratings success, the couple returned that December with a full-time show. Watched by more than 30 million viewers weekly during its 3-year run, the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour was praised for the comedic timing and deadpan Cher mocking Sonny about his looks and short stature. According to Berman, they exuded an aura of warmth, playfulness, and care that only enhanced their appeal. Viewers were further enchanted when a young Chaz also appeared on the show. They seemed like a perfect family. Cher honed her acting skills in sketch comedy roles such as the brash homemaker Laverne, the sardonic waitress Rosa, and historical vamps, including Cleopatra and Miss Sadie Thompson. The Bob Mackie-designed clothing Cher wore was part of the show's attraction.
She brought her own dress and her own red dress, but she had to be in a finale that I designed the costumes.
And her style influenced the fashion trends of the 1970s. Since Sonny's first attempts at reviving their recording career as a duo had also been unsuccessful, Cap Records recruited Snuff Garrett to work with them. He produced Cher's second U.S. #1 single, Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, which proved that. Garrett knew more about Cher's voice and her persona as a singer than Sonny did. Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves was the first single by a solo artist to rank #1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 chart at the same time as on the Canadian Singles Chart. Billboard called it one of the 20th century's greatest songs. It was featured on the 1971 album Cher, which was certified gold by the Recording Industry Association of America. Its second single, The Way of Love, reached #7 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and established Cher's more confident image as a recording artist. In 1972, she released the all-ballad set Foxy Lady, demonstrating the evolution of her vocal abilities. Following the release of the album, Garrett quit as producer after disagreeing with Sonny about the kind of material Cher should record. At Sonny's insistence, Cher released an album of standards called Bittersweet White Light on 1973, which was commercially unsuccessful. That year, lyricist Mary Dean brought Garrett Half Breed, a song about the daughter of a Cherokee mother and a white father, that she had written especially for Cher. Although Garrett did not have Cher as a client at the time, he was convinced that it's a smash for Cher and for nobody else, so he held the song for months until he got Cher back. Half Breed was featured on the album of the same name and became Cher's third U.S. #1 single. Both the album and the single were certified gold by the RIAA. Sonny and Cher, The Fall Off. Though their careers had been reborn, their personal lives were in trouble. Sonny wasn't faithful to Cher, who once remarked, "One woman or even 5 was not enough for him." Their relationship dynamics had also become problematic for her. In 1975, she explained, "One of the things I originally found so attractive about Sonny was that he really believed women should be taken care of. Eventually, it got to the point of driving me crazy." In 1972, Cher told Sonny she was involved with a guitarist in their band. Yet the revelation didn't end their marriage. As their careers were tied up with the idea of Sonny and Cher as a couple, it was hard to divorce. Instead, they stayed married but found different new partners, with some joining the couple at their mansion. In a diary entry from August 21, 1973, Sonny wrote, "Connie and I live together as husband and wife. But my public wife is still Cher, in order to keep all the things I want right now. That's the way it has to be." This didn't seem to faze Cher, who said, "We had a weird relationship. I don't expect anybody to understand it." Yet the marriage facade can't last forever. Sonny filed for separation in February 1974. Then Cher demanded a divorce, calling their marriage involuntary servitude. In the process of breaking up, Cher had discovered that Cher Enterprises, the corporation formed by Sonny, was 95% owned by her husband, with the remaining 5% held by their lawyer. Trusting her husband, Cher had also signed a restrictive contract that meant she couldn't take jobs without Sonny. Now she wanted out of this agreement. In the end, the two came to a deal for Cher to participate in more than $1 million worth of shows and appearances with Sonny in order to leave her contract. Cher and Sonny's divorce was finalized on June 26, 1975. Cher struggled to find her footing after divorcing Sonny. She said in a 2017 interview, "He made every decision for me. I knew how to sing and how to be a mother. I didn't know anything else." But she remained a star and added an impressive career in acting to her resume. Sonny decided to become a restaurateur. Cher attended his restaurant opening in 1983 before turning to politics. At times, both seemed to regret their breakup. "I enjoyed the power of Sonny and Cher so much," he revealed to People magazine in 1991. "That took years and years to let go." In 2010, Cher confided to Vanity Fair that she'd felt Sonny was treating me more like the golden goose than like his wife. She also said, "If he had agreed to just disband Cher Enterprises and start all over again, I would have never ever left. Just split it down the middle, 50-50. Despite sharing a child, Cher and Sonny often sniped at each other in public after splitting up. If asked about the time she'd been happiest, Cher would often say, "When I left Sonny, Sonny felt Cher played the part of a victim." Yet they reunited for an emotional rendition of "I Got You Babe" on Late Night with David Letterman on 1987. And Cher once clarified, "Even if we don't say nice things about each other, it doesn't mean anything. I know Sonny too well." Cher also didn't know how to react to the news of Sonny's passing.
And I also know that he is someplace loving this.
Cher was devastated when she learned Sonny had died in a skiing accident on January 5, 1998. She spent days drafting an eulogy she hoped would repair all the damage and misconceptions about Sonny. Her moving words at his January 9th funeral touched on their history and connection. She ended by saying, "When I was young, there was this section in Reader's Digest called The Most Unforgettable Character I Ever Met. No matter how old I get, no matter how many people I meet, that person will always be Sonny for me." Since then, Cher has admitted that Sonny's death was a shock. "I never expected him not to be there." She also contacted a medium who assured her of Sonny's love, and she stated, "I wouldn't be surprised if he's up there taking care of me. He did a good job of looking after me in the 60s, and I'm quite happy for him to do it again." Sometimes life may knock you down, but that is not what matters. What matters is how one picks oneself up from the ground after being knocked down. Finalizing a divorce was a sad feeling for Cher, but she still had goals and aspirations. Would she let herself stay knocked down, or would she bounce back from it? Hollywood big break. With decreasing album sales and a lack of commercially successful singles, Cher decided to further develop her acting career. While she had previously aspired to venture into film, she had only the critically and commercially unsuccessful movies Good Times and Chastity to her credit, and the Hollywood establishment did not take her seriously as an actress. Cher later recalled, "I was making a fortune on the road, but I was dying inside. Everyone kept saying, 'Cher, there are people who would give anything to have standing room only at Caesar's Palace. It would be the pinnacle of their careers.' And I kept thinking, yes, I should be satisfied, but I wasn't satisfied." She moved to New York in 1982 to take acting lessons with Lee Strasberg, founder of the Actors Studio, but never enrolled after her plans changed. She auditioned for and was signed by director Robert Altman for the Broadway stage production Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, playing a member of a James Dean fan club holding a 20-year reunion. That year, Altman cast her again in the film adaptation of the same title. Director Mike Nichols, who had seen Cher on stage in Jimmy Dean, offered her the part of Dolly Pellicker, a plant co-worker, and Meryl Streep's lesbian roommate in the film Silkwood. When it premiered in 1983, audiences questioned Cher's ability as an actress. She recalls attending a film preview during which the audience laughed when they saw her name in the credits. For her performance, Cher received a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress and won the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actress Motion Picture.
I'd like to thank Robert Altman, who just does not care about this.
In 1985, Cher formed the film production company Isis. Her next film, Mask, reached number 2 at the box office and was Cher's first critical and commercial success as a leading actress. For her role as a substance-addicted biker with a teenage son who has a severe physical deformity, she won the Cannes Film Festival Award for Best Actress. During the making of the film, however, she clashed with director Peter Bogdanovich and was ultimately omitted from the Oscar nomination list. Cher starred in 3 films in 1987. In Suspect, she played a public defender who is both helped and romanced by one of the jurors in the homicide case she is handling. Alongside Susan Sarandon and Michelle Pfeiffer, she starred as one of 3 divorcees involved with a mysterious and wealthy visitor from hell who comes to a small New England town in the comedy horror The Witches of Eastwick. In Norman Jewison's romantic comedy Moonstruck, she played an Italian widow in love with her fiancé's younger brother. The last 2 films ranked among the top 10 highest-grossing films of 1987, at number 10 and 5, respectively. The New York Times' Janet Maslin wrote, "Moonstruck offers further proof that Cher has evolved into the kind of larger-than-life movie star who's worth watching whatever she does." For that film, Cher won the Academy Award for Best Actress and the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress Motion Picture Comedy or Musical. By 1988, Cher had become one of the most bankable actresses of the decade, commanding $1 million per film. That year, she released the fragrance Uninhibited, which earned about $15 million in its first-year sales. Cher's indelible legacy. Cher is commonly referred to by the media as the goddess of pop. Rolling Stone's Rob Sheffield stated how there are no other careers remotely like hers, particularly in the history of pop music, and referred to Cher as the one-woman embodiment of the whole gaudy story of pop music. According to Goldmine magazine's Phil Martyr, Cher has been and remains today one of the rock era's most dominant figures. He described her as the leader of an effort in the 1960s to advance feminine rebellion in the rock world, the prototype of the female rock star, setting the standard for appearance, from her early hippie days to her later outlandish outfits, and her attitude, the perfect female punk long before punk even was a rock term. Billboard's Joe Lynch described Cher as a woman who pioneered an androgynous musical identity in the mid-1960s, and who by doing so teed things up for people like Bowie and Patti Smith. Billboard's Keith Caulfield wrote that there are divas and then there's Cher. The New York Times' Matthew Schneier stated, Cher has earned her mononym. Her star power is such that she has sporried an entire industry of imitators, both figurative and literal. Dazed Magazine's Sean Fay elaborates, if Madonna and Lady Gaga and Kylie and Cyndi Lauper were playing football, Cher would be the stadium they played in and the sun that shone down on them. According to Jeff Mears from the Buffalo News, her music has changed with the times over the decades, rather than changing those times through groundbreaking work. However, he felt that subsequent female pop singers were heavily inspired by Cher's ability to combine stage presence with deep musicality to make valid statements in a wide variety of trend-driven idioms, to ease effortlessly between pop subgenres and to shock without alienating her fans, as well as by her charismatic stage presence and the strong LGBT support among her fan base. Cher has repeatedly reinvented herself through various personas, for which Professor Richard Aquila from Ball State University called her the ultimate pop chameleon. According to Entertainment Weekly's Mark Snedeker, Cher has floated through generation after generation, scooping up new fans, thrilling old ones, reinventing her own myth and glittering splendidly through it all. Billboard magazine's Brooke Mazurek credited Cher as having revolutionized the idea of what a pop star could visually accomplish, the way they could create multiple personas that live on and off stage. James Reed from the Boston Globe elaborates, along with David Bowie, she is one of the original chameleons in pop music, constantly in flux and challenging our perceptions of her. The New York Times declared Cher as the queen of the comeback. According to author Lucy O'Brien, Cher adheres to the American dream of reinvention of self. Getting old does not have to mean getting obsolete. Cher's ability to forge an immensely successful and lengthy career as a woman in a male-dominated entertainment world has drawn attention from feminist critics.
But I guess I'm on my way. Thank you.
According to author Diane Negra, Cher was presented at the beginning of her career as a product of male creativity. Cher remembers, it was a time when girl singers were patted on the head for being good and told not to think. One thing is clear, Cher has ensured that her music will live on forever and will continue to touch millions of lives all over the world. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also watch another of our interesting videos by clicking on the video shown on your screen.